just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Inheritance, romance, and investment scams continue to plague South Dakotans with high dollar amount losses. They prey on vulnerable adults and swindle consumers out of their funds. Scammers befriend the victim, making it difficult for them to see the reality of what's happening. If you have a loved one susceptible to this type of scam, sit down and talk with them about these issues before it happens to them. If you or a loved one have been scammed in this manner, please reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is everywhere you need us to be. On the sidelines, supporting our local athletes, at our clinic locations throughout the region, and at our Ortho Express walk-in clinic when you don't have time to wait. We're here when you need us, working as a team to make your comeback stronger than ever. Getting stronger, getting better, getting you back to your best self. The life of an athlete has its uncertainties, wins and losses, injury and recovery. In the Black Hills area, athletes can always count on Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, here for whatever moves you.
If you're single, a young couple just starting out, or an empty nester, regular-sized loaves of bread just may be too much of a good thing. Now, thanks to Village Hearth Half Loaves, you can have just the right amount of fresh, delicious bread for toast and your favorite sandwiches. Village Hearth Half Loaves come in 5 flavorful varieties, including Dakota-style 12-grain, honey wheat, and premium white. You're sure to find the one that's just right. Village Hearth Half Loaves, the perfect size for 1 or 2.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
The Philadelphia Eagles have found their offensive coordinator. It comes in the form of Packers quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion, who had spent just the past 2 years as a coach. Prior to that, Mannion spent 9 years in the National Football League as he was a third-round pick. The former quarterback now running the offense in Philadelphia. Speaking of quarterbacks, Bills QB Josh Allen underwent surgery to repair a broken bone in his foot on Monday, confirming the surgery as he was at today's press conference to introduce new head coach Joe Brady. Bills president Brandon Beane said the team expects to pick up the 5th-year option on the contract of tight end Dalton Kincaid. Patriots quarterback Drake May says he took some reps in practice today, still dealing with a bit of a shoulder issue in advance of Super Bowl 60, where the Patriots will wear their all-white uniforms. Seahawks wearing all navy. ESPN broke the news that Nuggets forward Aaron Gordon's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring strain. Brooks Koepka +1 at the Farmers Insurance Open, currently 10 back of the lead. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. Good Thursday afternoon. Hope you're done with work. I hope you're out the door and into the drive home tonight. We're ready to go. 2 hours, thought-provoking sports talk across South Dakota. Let's get after it. The Nate Brown Show live. Thanks for making the show possible. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Yes, say it with me. South Dakota Sports Talk Show on Fox Sports Radio. We are live in Sioux Falls on KWSN, the sports leader, also on Fox Sports Rapid City. Welcome in the Nate Brown Show, 2 hours ready. It's a Thursday happy hour tonight. Rob Kegron is in studio, second hour, full hour with Rob Kegron, national radio host, and our guest host on Thursday happy hour tonight. Until then, some great guests, some really interesting stuff tonight. Let's get after it. However you can listen, you've got us on Fox Sports Radio, also on YouTube right now, The Nate Brown Show. If you want to subscribe, we'd appreciate that. Give us some thumbs up, reviews, good stuff only. Good stuff. The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You have every live show and every archive show. It's been a busy week in South Dakota sports. So The Nate Brown Show YouTube channel, you've got it. Midwest Sports Plus right now. It's the new high school sports streaming app. Download it on your phone. You can watch live games and The Nate Brown Show every afternoon. And then Twitter. We're up right now. It's there. If you have a Twitter account, log on. Follow us at Nate Brown Show, and then you can watch us live on Twitter. Welcome in studio. Who's coming up tonight? We have a state senator on the way tonight. Appreciate his time. He's out of Madison. State Senator Casey Crabtree. He is on tonight. There is a new joint resolution for mobile sports wagering. We've got him tonight. He's the prime sponsor, and he's in coming up from Pierce, State Senator Casey Crabtree from Madison. We'll go to Fargo tonight. Hot Mic host and North Dakota State play-by-play man Dom Izzo. He's on. Want to talk college and high school with Dom Izzo tonight. What does North Dakota do with a success factor, moving teams up and down? How has that worked out? Dom Izzo covers the state championships up there. He's coming up. Craig Maddox on. East River meets West River. Craig's in tonight. SDPB Sports longtime Sioux Falls broadcaster. Craig on tap. And then a Thursday happy hour full with Rob Kegron live in studio. So a good Thursday show. Let's get after it. 605-720-1067. If you want to join us tonight, that's the number. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. 605-720-1067, powered by the Pizza Ranch. Two great locations, East River in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Stop by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet. Barron's Wilson text line is ready, 605-720-1067. Same number. If you can't call us, you can text us, I hope. Get in on the question of the day, all that good stuff. Win a free buffet to the Pizza Ranch, courtesy of the question of the day on the text line. 605-720-1067. Okay, let's start with this sports wagering deal in South Dakota again. Speaking of Groundhog Groundhog Day, it's back, and this is how this has gone, okay? So there's a Senate Joint Resolution 504. It's in Pierre right now. We're going to get the prime sponsor on next, Casey Crabtree, and he'll give us the inside politics on this. But I'm just going to give you my read on this. I say this sports wagering thing is back. Now, how is this gone? So South Dakota sports wagering is all done in Deadwood. That's where I go. Our headquarters is Tin Lizzie, BetMGM Sportsbook in Cadillac Jacks. I understand. That's our headquarters. I'm up front with that. That's where I go to make my sports bets. Now, there have been efforts in the past few years. Every year, once sports gambling became legal in South Dakota, there's been efforts every year to take it not just in Deadwood city limits, but to take it to your mobile device. So many states have the mobile access. For example, you can do that in Iowa. For example, you can do that in Wyoming. So the neighbors right next door, you can do that in Colorado. So the neighbors right next door, you just cross over, you can have the app, you can bet on sports. It's that simple. So that's why I think this type of thing keeps coming up in Pierre. People are saying, okay, let's look at this reasonably, and I honestly believe this. So you can cross the border and you can bet on your phone. Where does that revenue go? To those states, to those operators in that state. No revenue stays in South Dakota. So if you are betting on sports, that's how that goes. Now, I have been a Black Hills guy over the years, so I can run to Deadwood. I can do that. I love watching the games. The sports books are fun. The whole experience. It's kind of like Deadwood's like Las Vegas. People have said, well, will people stop going to Vegas? No, it's actually been better. Since sports gambling has begun nationwide, Vegas has been really good when it comes to sports betting because friends meet friends. You still go to the sports book. It's a destination. You watch the games. I do that every year with my buddies. So it's not like you're like, oh, now that I can bet on my phone, I'm never going to go to this event. Same story. People are going to be going to the Super Bowl parties next weekend in Deadwood, right? They're going to have the best action, the best specials, and all the props and all that stuff at Tin Lizzie and Cadillac Jacks in Deadwood. That's the headquarters. It's going to be off the charts next week for the big game. So people are still going to do that. The deal is people are wondering, should you be able to access sports wagering on your phone or device, whatever it is, electronically? And so I have gone down this road the last few years, and I've said, I don't see why this would be a big problem. I don't see why this would be a big hurdle because sports gambling has already been voted on. We made it legal, but it was operated through Deadwood. Now, this would allow Deadwood to still regulate it because that's where gambling is regulated in South Dakota. You'd have to have a legal casino license. You'd have to be able to offer the sports wagering. So essentially like BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzie and at Cadillac Jacks, they would then be able to offer that app, and you'd run it right through those sports books. I have the BetMGM app right here on my phone. I've got it right here because I can do it when I cross over to Wyoming. You can do it when you cross over to Iowa. You just got the BetMGM app right here, but you can't do it while you're in the borders of South Dakota. So that's what this Senate joint resolution that's on the docket again would allow mobile sports wagering in South Dakota regulated through licensed casinos that are offering it through Deadwood. So you would no longer have to be in the city limits of Deadwood. You'd be able to do it on your mobile device. Now, two things on this. This isn't the South Dakota Senate and the legislature just telling you, okay, we're going to make this a law. We're going to make this happen right here, right now. What this joint resolution is telling us is what? They want to send this to the voters so you guys can decide. So that's all this, and I think that's a big thing. I've talked about that the last few years. The legislators have not just said, we're going to change this ourselves, but let's see what the people want. Do you want to vote on this in November and saying, yes, I want mobile sports wagering. No, I don't want mobile sports wagering. So that's how this whole thing got started. Did you want sports gambling to be legal? That people said yes, it became legal. They kept it in the city limits of Deadwood. Now they're trying to say, should we join other states and offer mobile sports betting on your phone? They just want to send it to the voters, and I don't see a huge issue with that. So I like issues that are decided by you. We get to do it, right? I think most people would say, whatever issue it is, even if I disagree with this, I disagree with that, morally I can't get on board for this or I can't get on board for that, all the issues in South Dakota, I think most people say if it's sent to the people for a vote, that's the way it should be handled. I think we still are on board, even though politics is a dangerous game. Nobody agrees with anybody anymore. Finally, I think there's one issue that still stands. When people vote for stuff, people in the state say, that's the way it is. People voted, majority won, that's it. So that's what this joint resolution would do for mobile sports wagering. They'd say, let the voters decide. Now, the second thing on this, do we want to send revenue out of state that maybe would be able to stay in state? So the big thing for me is let the voters decide. That's what they want to do with this. We'll talk to Casey Crabtree, coming up, state senator, who's a prime sponsor of this. So let the voters decide. I agree. Second one, revenue. I don't know how much revenue is going to happen. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the weeds on, well, this is how much handle is being bet. This is how much revenue comes in. What does the casino get? What does this generate in taxes? I'm not going to get it on that. I do know one thing. There's zero revenue from mobile sports betting now. So I do know that. If you added the whole state in this mix from Sioux Falls to Spearfish, then that revenue would go up. I do know that for a fact. And I can't tell you how many people are going to bet on sports that don't bet on sports. I don't know that. How easy, accessible is it? Is it too accessible then? Are people going to have problems with it? Well, that's all something you got to work through. I want to go with the will of the people, the will of the voters on this. I've been a mobile sports betting proponent as long as it's regulated through Deadwood, because you can't just kind of do your own thing and we got this company coming in and that company coming in. It's got to be licensed through Deadwood, okay? Can't just be a free-for-all. I want it regulated. I want it appropriate. But mobile sports wagering will ramp up the revenue. There's no question about it, because many East River people, how many of them are betting on sports? Well, probably quite a few. You guys are betting on sports, right? Do you head over to Iowa? Is it easy there? Probably easy. Some people say, well, I'll just do it secretly. I just have a bookie. I'll just keep doing it that way. This is the legal way. This is the mobile sports wagering way that would then keep all the revenue to benefit South Dakota. We're always trying to figure out how can we bring in more revenue outside of property taxes, and that's the big discussion, right? So this is just one way, and I'm not going to say this replaces a huge revenue stream. It doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't. But I am going to say Wyoming has it. I can cross a piece of dirt and go over to Wyoming. I can get on my BetMGM app and do it right from my phone. You can cross over to Iowa. You can do it right on your phone. But here in South Dakota, we're still trying to fight the good fight. Well, no, you can't do it in South Dakota. And I think we're just missing a big pot. I think we're missing a pot of money because people are still trying to do it. They're doing it different ways. And then other states are benefiting, and I just wonder how long this is going to keep going. The Senate Joint Resolution is back again. It has not made it out of Pierre in the past. And I can't tell you why. I think there's some legislators that just push against this, say, I don't like gambling at all. I wish we didn't have it at all, so I'm out on this. And to me, that can't be how you represent your folks. You have to represent your folks in your district fairly, right? Looking at all aspects, not just, I'm personally against it. I know I represent all these people in this district. I'm personally against it. I'm out. So if you guys want sports wagering mobile, I would encourage you to contact your representatives, your senators. That's how this stuff gets done. And tell them it's time to do the mobile sports wagering regulated through Deadwood so you can get the BetMGM app and everybody's good to go from Spearfish to Deadwood to Sioux Falls to Dakota Dunes. So I just want everybody to understand that's where this is at right now. I see it as a revenue piece. I see it as a voter issue that should be decided by us. It shouldn't just be stopped and blocked in Pierre. The voters said they wanted sports wagering years ago. We voted on it, went through, big numbers, and they won't even let the voters touch this to go to the mobile side. They won't even let them touch it. And that's wrong to me. Let's see here. Listener text coming in, 605-720-1067. What are your thoughts on mobile sports wagering? Senate Joint Resolution is up in Pierre, sponsored by Casey Crabtree, who's going to join us, state senator from Madison. He's coming up next. What are your thoughts? 605-720-1067 is our number. Text line, listener text coming in. State of Iowa has a gold mine going, he says. They put up casinos on every corner close to Sioux Falls. Why would we not get the money if people are going to do it anyway? I know people that drive to Iowa all the time. And that's really my issue, honestly. So I took a trip to watch the Broncos. When was that? In, November? So I want to watch the Broncos in November. Couldn't bet on anything. Got into the state of Wyoming. Boom, I could bet. Got into the state of Colorado. I could bet. Got back through. Got into the state of South Dakota. You can't bet. I was like, wait, does that make sense? I don't know. No, we can't let you do it on your phone. Let's see here. Listener text, I don't think the issue is about letting the people of South Dakota vote on sports betting. The issue is, will the legislature overturn what the outcome is? Well, I sure wouldn't think they'd do that with this. I'll ask Casey Crabtree that, by the way, because they have overturned what we voted on before, you might remember. Okay, I don't know where you land politically, but the legislators have said, the people voted for this. We think this is better. With the sports wagering side of this, would they flip it? I have my doubts. But I'll ask Casey Crabtree that, as a matter of fact. He's the state senator from Madison who brought this resolution up saying, let's let the voters decide for mobile sports wagering in South Dakota. It's back. It's never made it out of Pierre to the ballot. Can Casey Crabtree get it across the finish line this year? State senator from Madison, live from Pierre, coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's your last chance to lock in 2025 pricing on our Acclaim replacement windows and ensemble entry doors. Get 20% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Pay nothing till 2027. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. If you've been thinking about replacing those drafty, outdated doors or windows, now is the time. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside. You don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on, and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
All right, just getting started tonight. Thursday edition of the program. It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show across the state on KWSN Sioux Falls, Fox Sports Rapid City. Welcome in. Thought-provoking sports talk from high school to college to the pros. We got you covered. Dom Izzo is coming up. North Dakota State play-by-play man covers the Bison. I want to talk some college and high school with Dom Izzo from Fargo straight ahead. Craig Maddox in tonight from South Dakota Public Broadcasting, longtime Sioux Falls sports broadcaster. Craig Maddox on tap. Well, we started the show with this. I've talked about it a lot over the years. Mobile sports wagering. There's been joint resolutions before, and it hasn't made it out of here. And we'll see if this one does. Senate Joint Resolution 504 would allow mobile sports wagering on your device, regulated still through licensed casinos in Deadwood. Okay, so I think this is, the plan is to send it to the voters is what this is all about. The voters decide. And the prime sponsor, State Senator Casey Crabtree, and he joins us live on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Senator Crabtree, good to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. And I'll just tell you, from a political standpoint, I get on a fair amount of news shows. But as a former high school, college athlete, and dad of 2 boys that I'm just going to watch in a few minutes play basketball, it's an honor to be on your sports show. Okay, perfect. So this is your sports show appearance. I like it. Let me ask you, why did you sponsor this? I've talked about this over the years. I've had various legislators on. Voters approved sports betting years ago in Deadwood, and Deadwood has had success with it, no doubt.
but mobile sports wagering has not been making it out of Pierre. Why did you bring this joint resolution?
Well, this is just common sense is what it is. This is happening all across the state. We've seen, we've got stats on how many people are either illegally gaming or using poly markets or leaving the state and going right across to Iowa or neighboring states to go ahead and do mobile sports wagering. This we've worked really hard on, though, and we brought Deadwood alongside of us to make sure that this worked for our locals that work in that in arena. And it also delivers property tax relief. And so at the end of the day, this is what it does. It provides more freedom for folks to do what they want to do here. Voters get to weigh in on it, and it delivers some property tax relief, which I think is a win for everybody.
Why do you think in the past that it hasn't made it through? I've talked to various legislators. Some people are just against gaming, and I understand that perspective. I do sports wagering. I go to Deadwood, but I understand people are against it. Why do you think it hasn't made it through?
Well, I think there is misconceptions about what gaming does, and I think there's a negative connotation with that from time to time. What I'm saying to folks with this right here is this is happening, and here is a way for us to do this with all the protections in place for folks. Also give them the freedom of something that they ask for, they want to do. It's overwhelmingly popular. And ultimately, everybody in South Dakota that is a property owner would get a little bit of benefit from. And so I think this is a different idea than what we brought forward. And I think it's something that the public needs to reach out and talk to their legislators and say, hey, please support Senate Joint Resolution 504.
Casey Crabtree's on, state senator. He's from Madison. He's here on the Nate Brown Show talking about Senate Joint Resolution 504. I started my show with it. I said, hey, if you do want this to go to voters, you do need to contact your representatives, your state senators in your districts and say, I would like this and see if this can at least go to the voters. So you talked about revenue. It's like, hey, property tax relief. That's a big discussion. Now, I know this isn't a massive revenue here, but it is revenue that we're missing out on when people don't wager in this state. Talk about that side of it. We have to be losing some. I don't know how much, but it has to be not as much as it would.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, we can just say over here on the east side of the state, we see how many geolocations are pinged that go over to Iowa. So we can see South Dakotans going over to Iowa and using mobile sports wagering there. We know there's an illegal market for it. We don't know how big that is, of course. And so there's revenue that is being lost there. We can put up proper guidelines. We can deliver on making sure that people have the freedom to choose what they want to do here. And ultimately, that revenue will lead to some property tax relief. And so I think for us, this is a win-win. And you're absolutely right on what you led with, is folks need to reach out to their legislators and let them know this is an idea, this is something we want to do. And I think with the voting public, it's overwhelmingly popular.
Okay, so sports wagering was voted on before and won overwhelmingly, and it got started in Deadwood. I do want to ask you from the Deadwood side of things. You said Deadwood's right along with us. In the past, sometimes they've been neutral. I've talked to people in Deadwood. They're like, well, if they do this, great. If not, I don't know. We're kind of neutral. I saw you got some co-sponsors, Lawrence County co-sponsor from Spearfish, West River co-sponsor. So where's Deadwood at on this? If it goes mobile, it'd still be regulated through their license.
That's correct, and that's something that I think is critically important because some of the other ideas we've brought forward hasn't had Deadwood support. And so we know how critical Deadwood, the gaming industry, is to that community, to that county, and obviously does a great job from a tourism aspect for our state as well. So we're working hand-in-hand with them to make sure that works there. The servers are going to be located there, so folks that are mobile sports wagering would be able to work through their licenses and, of course, have some of those guidelines that exist these days to make sure that we're protecting folks. And like we said before, it's going to allow that freedom for folks to do sports wagering. I think a lot of folks, when they voted on this on the ballot the first time, thought this would unlock that. So this is our chance to get that right. Give people a little bit more freedom, and honestly, it puts more money in their pockets because we're going to bring it back as property tax return.
I did have a listener send in a message that said, hey, voters, if they get this to the ballot, voters get to decide. Sometimes there's been things done in Pierre then that reverse what voters have said. We wouldn't want to go down that road.
No, absolutely not. And so this goes out there. We'll listen to the voters, and I've always been one that has followed that really closely. So what the voters have said, what they've passed on ballots, I have worked to implement that diligently since. And so I think you'll see that, and you'll continue to see that. I think this, honestly, when this gets to the ballot, I think the legislatures are going to get the message loud and clear that this is where the people of South Dakota are at. And there's a lot of wins for the people of South Dakota. Again, the opportunity to participate in something they want to participate in, and it brings back property tax relief. It's two of the big things that are out there right now.
Are we looking for any revenue streams at this point? Like I said, I don't know how big this one is, but how's the state budget these days? I know people talk about a lot of things, but we need revenue streams?
Well, absolutely. When you look at what's happening out there, I think the number one discussion I have when I talk with people across the state, and I've had a lot of discussions. I, of course, serve as a state senator, but running for I'm a candidate for the U.S. Congress. And so I've been talking to people as we go across the state, and the number one issue that they keep coming up with is that the economy and affordability. And here is something that I think, you can look at the state's budget as well. We've got 0% increases for our teachers plan this year. We've got folks advocating for a 5% cut to overall budgets there. And so we see it at the state. We see it when we talk to hardworking families. And here is something that people can choose to be a part of if they want to, and the revenue generated would go to property tax relief. That seems like a win-win. We're not forcing anybody into anything. The voters get to decide. And I'm telling you, I think they're going to find this overwhelmingly popular.
A couple more, and I'll let him run. He's busy tonight watching some basketball. I like that. State Senator from Madison, Casey Crabtree, is on tonight talking about Senate Joint Resolution 504, will mobile sports wagering in South Dakota regulated through Deadwood. You could wager on your device. It could go to the voters. That's what this is about. So what's the next steps here? I see you're on Taxation Committee and Commerce. What are the next steps here in getting this going?
Well, we just talked about making sure that folks reach out to their local House members and their local senators. That absolutely has to happen. On February 6th, it will be in Taxation Committee, and so we'll have an opportunity to go make our case in front of the Tax Committee. So we don't have a lot of time in between now and then, and so folks sending emails to their representatives is going to be a game changer. And I honestly tell you, I think when my fellow colleagues in the legislature find out just how popular this is with everybody and provides the property tax relief, which is one of the number one issues that we're talking about out there, they're gonna turn around and be supportive.
Where is the tough road? Is it in the House? Is it in the Senate? I thought the Senate was really close last time. Where's the tough road here?
Well, I think all of it's going to be very close margins on this thing, and because you got to make the case on something that's new, right? We're not doing it in South Dakota, and so we're going to make that case. And I think each step of the process is critically important. And ultimately, we're just asking the legislature to give the voters a chance to weigh in. That's what we're really asking for, and I think we can get there. It does some great things. It allows for freedom. And property tax revenue, that's a total win-win in my book.
All right, Casey Crabtree is the state senator from Madison. He's the prime sponsor of the Senate Joint Resolution 504, and I really hope it can get on the ballot. Would it be on the ballot in November if it went through here?
That's correct. It'd be on the November ballot, so everybody would have a chance to weigh in and show its support for it. And I tell you what, the numbers that we're looking at on some polling we did on it shows overwhelming support for it. And so I hope the public, your listeners out there, are reaching out and sharing with their legislators just how important they think this is, or how they want to have that freedom and also get the property tax relief if they choose to do this. And so it should be a win-win. We just need folks to make sure that they're reaching out and talking to their legislators.
Okay, so you're running for the Republican primary for U.S. House. You're a state senator. You're trying to watch basketball. You're doing Senate joint resolutions. How are you doing all this?
Well, it keeps you busy, but I tell you what, I grew up an athlete. I love watching my two boys play. I got one in middle school and one in high school here in Madison, and so watching your kids play a sport that they love, is one of the life's great joys. So I make sure that we don't miss those, and we keep plenty busy trying to serve the public and having good conversations about what we can do in Pierre and in Washington, D.C.
I look forward to talking to you again. I want to see how this goes, and it's going to start getting worked on here pretty quickly. State Senator Casey Crabtree on from Madison, and he's here on the Nate Brown Show. We'll stay on this, Casey. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it. Casey Crabtree is the state senator from Madison, also running the Republican primary for U.S. House here in South Dakota. He's the prime sponsor of Senate Joint Resolution 504, and really it is to allow the voters to decide, do they want mobile sports wagering in South Dakota? And it would be still regulated through licensed casinos, the operators in Deadwood. This isn't like just starting from scratch. You can't do that, right? So everything's been running smoothly in Deadwood. BetMGM and some of these partnerships in Deadwood. Then it would allow them to have the mobile apps and allow folks from Sioux Falls and Madison and wherever to bet on sports in this state, and the revenue on the backside would stay in this state. And that's how I see it myself. And I understand. I'm on the sports side of this. I understand. I've been talking about it for a while. I just hope the legislators, if you contact them saying, hey, it's time to send it to the voters. This isn't the legislators telling you what to do. They're saying, let the voters decide on mobile sports wagering like the other states have. And I think that's it. So I would contact your district, look them up. Representatives, senators say, are you going to support Senate Joint Resolution 504, the mobile sports wagering Senate Joint Resolution, to go to the voters? That's where it's got to start. It's going to start being heard in committees next week. Okay? Appreciate Senator Casey Crabtree coming on from Madison. Let's go to Fargo next. Dom Izzo's in. He hosts Hot Mike, talks North Dakota State and some high school stuff. How does North Dakota do their success factor, moving teams up and down for high school sports? How's that worked? Dom Izzo coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Want to do more of what you love and earn cash back doing it? With a Visa Cashback credit card from Black Hills Federal Credit Union, it's possible. Earn 1.5% cash back on everyday purchases like gas and groceries, and use it to fund your shoe obsession, vinyl collection, or airline upgrade. Plus, spend $2,000 in your first 90 days and get a $200 cashback bonus. Learn more at bhfcu.com/cashback. Offer subject to credit approval. Other restrictions apply.
Yeah, can I get the taco burger value combo? That's a value? I know it's a taco and a burger, but come on. Yeah, I can find a better value right across the street. No, not at the bait shop, at the gas station. I can get a South Dakota Lottery scratch game for as little as $1. You can actually win thousands of dollars. Almost enough to eat here.
Good fun. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly.
Hi, folks. Kevin McPherson, McPherson Auction Company. On today's online-only auction, we are selling shipping containers, UTVs, ATVs, got a four-wheeler with a snow blade, several new tool cabinets, and fencing material. Vehicles including a 2011 Kia Sorento, a 2013 and a 2014 Dodge Grand Caravan, 2011 Ford F-150 extended cab four-wheel drive pickup, several like-new hunting coats and bibs, and approximately 65 lots of tools and household items. Final auction preview 3 to 5 this afternoon. The items are all located along Campbell Street at the Central States Fairgrounds. Go to McPhersonAuction.com.
Headed to the Black Hills Stock Show? Then make Trav's Outfitter your first stop. Score $100 off Higher and Tecovas boots. Hui ball caps just $10 and save $20 on Cinch and Ariat jeans. Western wear, workwear, and unbeatable Stock Show savings. All at Trav's Outfitter, your Stock Show headquarters. Trav's Outfitter, find us at 413 North Campbell Street in the old Kmart building. Trav's Outfitter, best selection, best service, no BS.
New year? How about a new vehicle? Kick off 2026 in a new GMC or Cadillac from Spearfish Motors. New Sierra 1500s with savings up to $6,250. Need some towing power? Sierra HD models are discounted up to $3,000. And if comfort and versatility are on your list, we've got a great selection of Terrain, Acadia, and Yukon ready to go. Start the year with something new. Shop online at spearfishmotors.com or stop by Spearfish Motors today. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hi, I'm Tim Wrench, and I'm seeking personal injury cases. If you've been injured because someone else did something wrong, call me up. I'm a trial lawyer. I've tried criminal and civil cases for decades, and I can use all of that experience to help you. I also know this, that when insurance companies know that you're represented by a trial lawyer, they take your claim more seriously, and if it is to be settled, it's settled better with a trial lawyer. Wrench Law, 605-341-com.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker, Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work, and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls. Thanks for being here. Fox Sports Rapid City across South Dakota. We're in tonight. The Nate Brown Show official outfitter is Trav's Outfitter, brand new store in Rapid City on Campbell Street. If you haven't checked it out, it's great. It is your work boot and Western boot headquarters. So Stock Show is coming up. You're coming to Rapid City for the Stock Show, you got to get to Trav's Outfitter, experts in work and Western footwear. I mean, if you're on your feet all day, it matters. So don't leave wondering if you made the right choice. Their experts will help you get in the right boots, work boots, Western boots, the best brands, the best prices, comfort and support. Family-owned South Dakota store. It is independent and proud of it. TravsOutfitter.com. Start there. Take a look. Best selection, best service, no BS. Trav's Outfitter, Campbell Street, Rapid City. So that's interesting that Casey Crabtree was just on, state senator from Madison, who has this new Senate Joint Resolution 504. This has been brought up before in Pierre. Will the legislators allow the mobile sports wagering to go to the voters of South Dakota? They have not allowed that. There have been these resolutions before, and they've been voted down. So this one's just getting started. It's going to be heard in committee next week. So if your representatives, wherever you're listening to tonight, wherever you're listening from, if you want mobile sports wagering regulated through Deadwood, okay, so it's not like it's, everybody's going to just start up their own sports books and stuff. This is all regulated through casinos, but it would be through apps on your mobile device. If you want that, I would encourage you to contact your legislators, your representatives, and your senators. Okay, that's how I would get started on this, because the only way legislators kind of change is if you say, hey, we want this to go to the voters. We'd like to vote on mobile sports wagering. So that's how that would get started. I'm going to go to my question of the day coming up. First, let's get to our next guest from Fargo. His show is called Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, and he covers North Dakota State. Find him on X at Dom Izzo, WDAY. It is Dom Izzo on the Nate Brown Show. How are you, Dom?
Good, Nate. How you doing, bud?
Doing good, man. Thanks for hopping in. I appreciate you. I want to hit a couple of things with you and get your perspective from high school into college. Let me start with North Dakota State. You had Matt Larson on your show, the AD for the Bison, and he talked about FBS, and everybody goes crazy. They say, wait, this is in Football Scoop now. Their FBS interest is as strong as it's ever been. So what should we really take away from that?
Well, it's funny because, the story has gotten traction with different outlets, and I'm not sure what I'm missing, because we've been doing this story for 4 or 5 years, and there hasn't necessarily been anything newsy. I didn't get any, unless I missed something here, and I kept asking myself, did we miss something in this exchange with Matt? But I think he was probably as forceful as he's ever been publicly about declaring NDSU's intentions about wanting to be in the FBS, and I think that's what probably caught the news outlets, whether it be Football Scoop or several in the Mountain West Conference, because obviously NDSU has had, let it be known that the Mountain West might be the league that they would like to go to. So it's really interesting that this has taken on a life of its own, because I sat there. I'm like, I'm not sure what I missed on how this story became this big.
I think you are right, though. I think he was most forceful. At least that's what I noticed from. I've followed you guys as well, and I'm like, I don't know if I've quite seen him that out front. And you talk to him more than I see, but I think that was what hit me because, for example, I have Justin Sell on this show, and I've talked to South Dakota State. They haven't fully come out and said, yes, we want to be FBS if there's a chance. That seems like the difference to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Every time I've talked to Justin on that, he's been pretty guarded. He's also told me that they'd like to be attached with North Dakota State. I think that they understand the rivalry and the implications that have gone here, especially over the last decade of the two schools facing each other in football and what's happened there. So I don't know if that's going to force South Dakota State's hand, but clearly NDSU is ready for bigger and what they think is better.
Okay, I want to ask you, because I get texts on the show, they say, hey, if North Dakota State wants to go FBS, there has to be other schools that have to go with them. Or can North Dakota State go this alone? What do you think happens to SDSU and then USD and UND?
Yeah, I think unlike the move to Division I, NDSU can do this on its own. They don't need SDSU. They don't need the University of North Dakota. They can, if there's a football invite from the Mountain West Conference, they can take that and run with it. They don't need anybody to piggyback with that. What happens? I mean, SDSU likes being the king of the FCS roost. They certainly would move to that spot if North Dakota State's not there. But you lose that being there. SDSU has long loved having NDSU as its chief FCS rival. That's happened since the Dakota Marker really became a thing in the mid 2006s, 7s, around there, when it really started becoming something that we talk about. So the implications would be huge. There's no doubt about it. But again, there's from the people that we've talked to, that sources we've cultivated, the Mountain West is not doing anything right now. So this is all it is talk. Because right now they've still got to figure out their television deal. They got to figure out the lawsuit with the Pac-12 with the teams that are leaving. There's still a lot, and frankly, the TV deal with the Mountain West is not going to be anywhere close to what they used to have. And I can tell you what our deal with North Dakota State is a really good one. If it's not any more than that, does it make it worth its while for them to then move up if they're not getting the kind of TV dollars that they would have gotten in the old Mountain West?
Do you think, Justin Sell, would you be strategic and go on record like Matt Larson is? Do you think that matters at all, saying, yeah, Justin Sell, well, South Dakota State's ready too, we'll go too? Would you do that?
Well, we've seen it publicly backfire with Sacramento State. I know you've talked about that on your program, that Sac State has been the complete opposite. They've been in your face, we're doing it, come hell or high water, and it's right now there's nothing to come of it because they don't have a league, and they're just floating out there for 2026. NDSU has been, and that's why, Matt's been really guarded with his statements, which again, about we're not going to be that's why what he said is as forceful as he's been about the topic. So I would kind of go down that route if I were Justin Sell. That might be the best course of action. But if you want to let people know, you got to let them know that, hey, we would consider being an FCS school, because at the moment I don't know if anybody thinks SDSU is considering it.
Yeah. Dom Izzo's on tonight, Hot Mic host. His show's on really good. He also covers North Dakota State play-by-play. I want to go to high school really quick. So here in South Dakota, we're debating a success factor, and we have a committee. Things get hard when you have a committee and a subcommittee, and everybody thinks this and that. And I'm like, I think it can be easier, but nonetheless, we're doing a success factor. Should we move teams up? Should we move teams down? North Dakota has implemented it. You've told me previously it's been a little wonky, but I'm a proponent of it. I don't know if we can move teams up because people don't have an appetite for that. I would like struggling programs to be able to move down. I really would. How has it worked in North Dakota? Has it been okay?
it has been mixed bag of results. I would say that. Specifically here in Fargo North had really struggled at the top division of football. The 3A division is the highest class we have in North Dakota, and once the opening of Fargo Davies on the south side, it really everyone's moving to the south side of town. There's no new families coming on the north side, and North's numbers dwindled in football. Obviously, it's a numbers game. They were not competitive. They petitioned to move down with the new structuring of how high school football went in the state. It's a whole other deal with the amount of kids they had in their class, in their school. They moved down. They end up winning a state football. They were runner-up for the state football championship, and they won a state football title. And because of the amount of success, they were moved up to the top division, which they've been now, 2 years, and they've really struggled.
Oh.
And I took a lot of heat on this because I firmly believe, Nate, if you're in one of the biggest cities in the biggest city in North Dakota, you can't play in the middle division. If you're in Fargo or Grand Forks or Bismarck, Minot, you have to play in the top division. There shouldn't be any opt-outs. Grand Forks doesn't. The two Grand Forks schools play in the second division. Fargo South, which is the ultimate success program in this state, is in the second division. It's been a mixed bag. Bismarck St. Mary's is another one. They got moved up. They struggled, and then they moved back down because their numbers warranted it. Basketball's another deal. We just went through it this last winter where two really successful programs had accumulated enough points to move up. They petitioned a high school association. They were granted that request to stay in the middle division. I don't know if that's going to happen again after this year because they're going to be really good again. They are really good again. But it's, I don't know if hot button's probably too strong a word, but it's certainly been debated. I think there's mixed bag is probably the best way to describe of how it's gone so far.
That's interesting, Don, because what I'm hearing there is all the controversies is this school petitioned to go down. This school petitioned to go down. I'm going to say if there's data, if there's a model that says here's the data, you're either up or down. There's no more petitioning. What's the deal?
Yeah, that to me, it's really it's 6 of one and half dozen of the other. Like Fargo Shanley, a private school here in town, they actually have enough students that they should be in the second class. They petitioned, though, to move up. They're one of the only, I want to say, only school that has petitioned to move up a division. Everybody else has petitioned to move down. So it's, like you said it perfectly. Anything with a committee is certainly going to wrangle feathers and get people all hot and bothered. And it's not without controversy here. We've had it for, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years in football. And it hasn't been as controversial as the seeding the top 8. I don't know why we can't get that solved for high school football playoffs here, but it's up there. I'm intrigued to see what South Dakota does.
Okay, I am too. We're trying to get this figured out, but it's going to be a while. Last one for Dom Izzo, a new basketball proposal here in South Dakota. Speaking of teams making a move up, they would say if you're in Sioux Falls and Rapid City, and if you're even in a small private school, we're not talking the big schools over 1,000. We're talking small private. They would make you play in the highest class of basketball. Yeah. That's a new proposal. North Dakota talked about that before, I heard. Private schools making them go up. What do you say?
Yeah, that didn't go over very well when we went to 3 classes of basketball a few years ago because that was written in. That got changed. I'm a fan of that, frankly. If you're because we have a couple of private schools, one's in Williston, one in Dickinson, which aren't our biggest cities in the state, but I would also appeal. Minot's got a couple of private schools, and one of them is in the middle division, one's in the Class B in the lower division. I would appeal to say you gotta play up. If you're in one of the biggest cities, you got to play in the top division. But private schools can do what they want. You want to talk about getting people hot and bothered? That's another one that's pretty hot topic around here. I think they got to a modest agreement with the private schools so they could get 3 classes of basketball. I think everybody kind of gritted their teeth and accepted that is probably the best way to describe it. And that's where we're at, because this is our 3rd year now of 3 classes, and you've got a mix of private schools in the top. You've got just a couple in the middle division. and still quite a bit in the Class B division. And they're really good. And that's the part that, and I'm rambling here on you, but in the old days of two-class basketball, that the older generation of North Dakota high school basketball fans despised having the private schools playing in the championship. We had it one year. We had two private schools out of the Final Four, and people were just up in arms because it wasn't the spirit of the Class B. And we're still in that mold to an extent, not as bad as it was, but traditions die hard. It's probably the best way to say it.
People are up in arms in South Dakota, at least a little bit right now as well. New basketball proposal being talked about next Wednesday here in this state. Dom Izzo covers high school, the state championships up there, and North Dakota State play-by-play man. Watch his show. It's called Hot Mic. Find him on Twitter at Dom Izzo, WDAY. Dom, I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Great to see you, buddy. Great to hear from you. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for your time. Dom Izzo tonight, Hot Mic host, North Dakota State play-by-play, and covers the high school state championships. Dom Izzo live from Fargo tonight. Good stuff there. Good stuff. Boy, Dom Izzo's already moving up the private school. Sorry. He can say that from Fargo. He's kind of a far away. He's off in the frozen tundra of Fargo, never to be found again, right? But he can say that stuff. Careful, Dom, when you're coming into South Dakota. Careful. Craig Maddox, South Dakota guy. I want to know what he says about this issue. Craig Maddox, SDPB Sports, coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's your last chance to lock in 2025 pricing on our Acclaim replacement windows and ensemble entry doors. Get 20% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Pay nothing till 2027. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. If you've been thinking about replacing those drafty, outdated doors or windows, now is the time. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
Right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We're live on KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City. The Nate Brown Show. Welcome in. Thanks for making the show possible. Hope you're having a solid day. Remember, it's always a great day in South Dakota. Remember that, the show motto. Rob Kagron's coming in tonight. Full hour with Rob. It's a Thursday happy hour. National radio host Rob Kagron coming up as our guest host. Craig Maddox in every week. We appreciate it. SDPB Sports. Watch him. State championships will be here before you know it. Craig Maddox is on tonight. Craig, how are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great, Nate. You're right. State dual wrestling, second weekend in February. So,
Wow.
2 weeks from this weekend? 2 weeks
Wow.
from tomorrow?
I love it.
Yeah.
You're going to get busy. This is the time of year. So I'm going to get busy here on this show with you with some basketball stuff. There's a basketball meeting next week, and I know you love these topics, so let's just run through them. One is coming from a private school standpoint here. This is saying the private schools in the big markets with the big schools, Sioux Falls and Rapid City. So Sioux Falls Christian, Rapid City Christian, St. Thomas More, schools like that in the big markets, they would have to play AA basketball. They get to choose from all the kids in the market, so they should be playing AA basketball.
I like that, choosing all the kids from the market. That's a good one.
Okay, so you laugh. That's a proposal next Wednesday. What do you say?
Know.
What do you say?
I know. I can see this squarely is an arrow pointing at Sioux Falls Christian. Maybe St. Thomas More, maybe Rapid City Christian, but I don't know if the ADs will approve this, because remember the athletic directors have to approve it, and then it goes to the rank and file, and I don't know what that would be. You got Sioux Falls Lutheran here in Sioux Falls that just is up and coming. They're pretty small. They're playing Class B. That would not be good for them. I'm not sure that this would totally be fair for everyone, just because, I know they're looking at it because they're winning. They're winning. We got to do something. I just going back to what you've talked about in years past. Those that are losing, you want them to move down, and the winners, we want them to move up. And it's one of those strategies and things that they got to put together to see how that's going to work. So I just don't know. I doubt that that's going to pass, but it is intriguing. So we know why they did it and who it's being pointed after.
Okay, so it's going to be at the basketball advisory meeting next Wednesday. That's a proposal. It's from Britton Heckler, for example. Here's the thing I find ironic with it, Craig, though. So in the football discussion, remember, everybody tells me, well, it's just based on enrollment. If you have a big school, that's where you got to play. So enrollment matters.
The classifications.
Yeah. Well, then in this instance, they say St. Thomas More has 128 kids, 9 through 11. 128, and they don't mention enrollment. They say, sorry, you'd have to play AA. Who cares about your enrollment? So which is it?
I don't think it would be. I hate using the term fair, but we've already decided the classifications of all our sports is based on enrollment, and unless you want to move up, Sioux Falls or Gorman, they moved up. They move up every year to AA or AAA, whatever sport it is. That's because they have chosen to do that. They don't have to, but they do. Whereas if St. Thomas More, they wanted to move up a class, that's up to them. They don't have to, but that is where we have set where Class B is, 9-man football. It's all classifications. It's all the counting of what you have for enrollment for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Just those 3 classes every 2 years.
Yeah, and we won't change it for football, so I don't know why they're trying to change this for basketball. But that'll be happening next Wednesday. The discussion will be at the basketball meeting. Craig Maddox on tonight, SDPB Sports. Speaking one more at that basketball meeting, they want coaches to be reporting stats into the Go Bound system. Mandatory. And if they miss it 3 times, Craig, they get suspended for the state tournament if they make it.
I say that's a tad harsh.
Okay.
I know a lot of these coaches are trying to do it with what's the online? Not Hulu.
Huddle.
Huddle. Yes, that is. I was close. Huddle wants them to do that too. Some do, and for us in the media, absolutely, we love it when they give us the stats because that's what we want. We use it to cover the broadcast, and I think that's just a tad stiff.
Okay, but do you want coaches to do it? Would you like coaches to have to do that?
I would like the schools to do it. I certainly would.
Okay.
But again, who looks at the stats? If you take a look at it, how many times, if you had all the stats for all of the basketball players right now, how many would be going online to look at all the stats?
Well,
that would be interesting.
I wonder.
I don't think it would be that many.
Well, Mom wants to get on there so she can post it on Facebook, and that Jimmy's the leading scorer in the conference. And anyway.
I had Jimmy down for 3 more rebounds than what you've got reported.
There we go. By the way, couple more here for Craig Maddox tonight. East River meets West River on the Nate Brown Show. Missouri governor is trying to get a governor-appointed board to oversee their activities association. And there's the support for this. Missouri could have an oversight board in their legislature of the High School Activities Association. What say you?
Don't need it. Keep the legislature, keep legislative leaders away from it as much as possible. I mean, the activities associations, there's already 172 school districts in the state that watch over the Activities Association, and if there's a problem with something, it can come from the rank and file and not from the State House.
Okay, well, I was gonna vouch for you to be a member of that board, but I guess you've lost your.
No, it's the rank and file.
Okay,
that's their job.
Okay, I'll be the chairman of the board if Larry Roden appoints me, but we're not quite there. Last one for Craig Maddox. Senate Joint Resolution 504 is going through Pierre right now. I know you're a guy that's probably going to break the bank and bet on all these games every day, but it is mobile sports wagering. I just had Senator Casey Crabtree on from Madison. He's the prime sponsor. This would be regulated through Deadwood, but South Dakota would join other states where you could bet on the Vikings and whoever right there on your phone. Should that go to the voters of this state?
Yeah, probably. Let the voters decide. I'm not into that. I know there are others that do get into it, but I think make it a vote of the people.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Send it to the voters.
I'm surprised you haven't asked me about the state tournament selection again. We're debating having 32 teams in a state tournament again, trying to get there again.
You know why I haven't asked you? Because we've beat that dead horse. I thought that horse was done, but it keeps coming back, the Sodak 32. Everybody's asked me about that this week. Like, are we going to do the Sodak 32? Okay, I'll let you go on that. It's going to be talked about again. Is this ever going to come to fruition? 32 teams trying to get to state.
We are all the history of the Activities Association has been doing this for decades. I think we should go back to what they did back in 1935. They did this 1 year, 1935. All of the top schools from the ESD qualified for the Class A basketball tournament, and the teams in the lower division of the ESD, they played the other A schools to determine the other 8 schools to go to the A tourney.
Whoa.
How about that?
Wow.
Make the ESD determine where all these schools are. Or maybe back in 1930, this might be the best one. 1930, the state was divided into 32 districts. The 32 district winners went on to the Class A regionals, while all the losers went to the Class B regions.
Wow.
And then they determined.
Wow.
That might be interesting.
Okay, so you're telling me
take the winners to the A's and the losers to the B's.
To the B's, okay. I might have to go to the B's.
They only did that 1 year, by the way.
Okay, I think you're making light of the Sodak 32 is what it sounds like. All right, we have the Sodak 16, but there's 2 proposals for a Sodak 32 next Wednesday. 2 of them.
No.
All right.
Yeah, I can't wait for that number 1 seed going up against the number 32 seed. Can't wait for that to happen.
Craig Maddock tonight. His podcast is out there. It's called In Play. Download it. It's great. As always, Craig, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for the time, Nate. See ya.
See ya, man. Craig Maddock. Podcast from SDPB Sports is In Play with Craig Maddock, live from Sioux Falls. Wow, that was interesting. Interesting. You know what's interesting? Rob Kegron on a Thursday happy hour. Rob, ready to roll? We start next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Inheritance, romance, and investment scams continue to plague South Dakotans with high dollar amount losses. They prey on vulnerable adults and swindle consumers out of their funds. Scammers befriend the victim, making it difficult for them to see the reality of what's happening. If you have a loved one susceptible to this type of scam, sit down and talk with them about these issues before it happens to them. If you or a loved one have been scammed in this manner, please reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
I got serious about staying fit just a couple of years ago. Now 5Ks, yoga, and smart nutrition are all part of my weekly routine. Part of my eating right plan? Country Hearth Breads. Natural breads with the whole grains and natural ingredients my body needs to perform at its best. Just a slice of toasted multigrain with peanut butter before a workout, and I'm ready to roll. Country Hearth is the easy choice because it's good for me and great tasting too. Country Hearth Breads, baking our best for you.
Since 1928, Connect Home Center has been proud to serve Rapid City and Spearfish with quality products and customer service that you can trust. In 2000, Connect joined the Mead Lumber family, and now they're taking the next step into their journey. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name from design to finish. Mead Lumber is here for you, as they've always been. MeadLumber.com.
Mr. Liquor in Rapid City would like to thank their customers for making last year an overwhelming success. Know that in 2026, Mr. Liquor will continue to provide the area's best selection of wine, spirits, and ice-cold beer with unmatched customer service. Look for even more exclusive Mr. Liquor barrel picks and rare allocated bourbons in the coming months. Plus, check out their Facebook page for monthly savings specials on your favorite brands. Thanks again for your business from Mr. Liquor South off Catron next to Walmart and Mr. Liquor West on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
As a rancher in western South Dakota, you know the meaning of hard work. From working cattle to working in the field, you know that the job begins before dawn and can last into the night. You also know that at the end of the day, it's more than just work. It's a way of life. When it comes to banking, you need a bank that values your time and is committed to your growth. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Winter's arrived. I'm with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail, and I know you have some great specials right now.
Yes, we do. Get an Arctic Start remote system, which we feel are the best in the business, from just $369. From the Ultra Simple with a range of 1,500 feet to LCD remotes that have a range of 1 mile, to our drone mobile unit, where your smartphone will start your car from anywhere on the planet.
Technology is just amazing, isn't it?
That it is. And right now, save up to $40 on a set of Toyo Celsius 2 tires, what we think are simply the best tire for our area. A 60,000-mile rated year-round winter tire. It's an absolutely amazing tire for South Dakota.
So winter performance, and you leave them on all year long?
You got it. These tires will perform way better in winter weather than a typical all-season radial. Stop in or call, and we'll go over all the Toyo Tire and remote start options available, and we'll do it with the best prices in the area.
See anytime.com, and of course at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales. One more time.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on a Thursday. The Nate Brown Show. Rob Kegron is here. We're ready. 45 minutes. Let's knock this down. It's called Thursday Happy Hour on the Nate Brown Show, and glad you're here. South Dakota Sports Talk Show on KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City, powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union. 18 locations from the Black Hills to Sioux Falls, and I'm a member at BHFCU. I'm glad I switched from my last bank. I invite you to become a member. Take advantage of all the opportunities at Black Hills Federal Credit Union, from great rates on vehicle loans to mobile banking. I got the app right here on my phone. Best in technology and convenience, and they got you covered in Sioux Falls to the Black Hills. BHFCU.com. Get started. Become a member first at Black Hills Federal Credit Union. Thursday Happy Hour packed. We've had a busy show already. Casey Crabtree on, state senator from Madison, prime sponsor of a new Senate joint resolution in Pierre to have mobile sports wagering be going to the voters for South Dakota. That's what his Senate joint resolution is saying. They've tried this before. The guys and gals in Pierre haven't let it out of there. So they've said, no, we're going to stop it. Voters voted for legal sports wagering in Deadwood when it was on the ballot. And it's interesting. Casey Crabtree said, Rob, that he said, well, there's people that maybe thought it was going to be statewide then. He thought when voters voted on it before, it could be statewide then. Well, no, it was you have to go to Deadwood city limits, to the casinos and all that stuff. We have our partnerships up there. That's where I go. BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzie and Cadillac Jacks. It's great. People are going to be going up there for the Super Bowl next week. I mean, it's massive. It's just like Las Vegas. But the mobile sports wagering side has not been sent to the voters. We will get into that in our question of the day coming up, and how big you think that could be in South Dakota. Let's get to this first. Rob Kegron's a Patriots fanboy. He's really a Giants fan, but I could tell you're a closet Patriots fanboy. And so Bill Belichick has been wronged. He is not in the first ballot Hall of Fame. There's people that just can't believe it, and I'm one of them. I was very surprised. That's been one of the biggest stories. Everybody's talked about it. So why did Bill Belichick not get in the Hall of Fame first ballot?
Well, first of all, I completely agree with you, Nate. It is an absolute travesty. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in the history of sports halls of fame.
Huh?
There's not even close. There's nothing that could even compare to Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Fame. There's nothing.
Now, Pete Rose, some of those guys.
Rose was banned from baseball. I mean, let's be fair. And you and I both are Rose. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this in the past. You and I both are Pete Rose supporters, think that he should have been in the Hall of Fame while he was alive. Certainly think he should be in the Hall of Fame now that he's deceased. But it is a little bit different, right? The guy was banned from baseball. And so even though I think he should have been in, Bill Belichick left the Patriots, or separated from Kraft, or however you want to say it. Kraft got rid of him in the end. He was the greatest coach of all time. The only one you can compare to him theoretically is Lombardi, right? How on earth could you ever justify not voting him in on the first ballot of the NFL Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame? How did it happen? Well, I actually think it's a combination of two things. I don't think it's one thing alone, because I know a lot of people have said, well, it's just a bunch of dopey reporters who, kind of held him up, or Bill Polian, who is the old Colts general manager, Bills general manager, who's close with Bob Kraft. And I think he had something to do with it. There's no doubt about that. I don't think there's any question that he had some influence in getting the voters, who aren't just reporters, right? There are some ex-players, ex-coaches, ex-executives. I think he had something to do with influencing them to make him wait a year or two. but also the process is entirely flawed, Nate. Right?
Yes. You can only do one coach, for example. Just one coach. That's it.
Okay, that is, to me, one coach, 3 vet players, right?
Right.
And then 1 contributor or something like
That's
that.
it.
Right? And of those 5, you can only vote for 3 of them. Why isn't it just an up or down vote? This guy is a Hall of Famer or he's not. And it is a high barrier, right? It's 80%. So 40 of the 50 voters have to say yes to you,
Yes,
right?
for first ballot. Yep.
I think that's a high enough barrier that you don't have to limit how many. I think it becomes very artificial in any Hall of Fame to say, and I think the same thing about the vote that's going to come out next Thursday when they tell us who of the modern day era finalists, they get 5 of those. Why does it have to be 5? Like, some years it could be 2, other years it might be 9, right? It's not so clear cut. They've gotten way too crazy about, well, we want 5 modern day era finalists, and we want 1 or 3 contributors. Right. It's crazy to think that, but I think it is a combination of Bill Polian, Bob Kraft, who I have lost all respect for in the world.
What you got your conspiracy hat on here? You think
it's not
Bob
conspiracy.
Kraft left Bill? You know what it is,
It's
right?
not conspiracy.
You know what it is. You haven't mentioned one thing. You know what it is.
What?
People don't like Bill because he cheated.
Okay, what about?
They don't like him.
Okay, you want to go down that path? What happens to Tom? What happens to Tom Brady?
Well, people don't love Tom, but he'll get in there.
Why?
He'll get in there.
He had nothing to do with Deflategate?
By the way, Tom
Wait.
Tom won it. Deflategate was minuscule. We're talking the Spygate. That was a big problem.
Deflategate was minuscule?
Minuscule. I believe it was minuscule.
It was a massive story.
Talking about footballs, the Patriots are going to win. The Spygate was bigger. You know that. That was a big cheating scandal.
Your pal, though, did you read the story? It was either this morning or last night. Mike Shanahan, they talked about this, and Goodell called Shanahan and said, what's really the story? He's like, I can't believe I hadn't thought about it first. Stealing signs is a huge part of football, even to this day.
Well, we should put Connor Stallions in the College Football Hall of Fame. Let's put him in there.
That's a little over the top. Let's be fair.
He's stealing
funny,
signs.
but it's a little over the top. It's happening every week. Coaches are trying to gain an advantage, trying to steal signs.
They had the
you're
videos.
Right. Not the same.
Videos.
Not the same. But they paid their penalty then, right? And
I'm just telling you, that's why right there. I know it's the reporters and the thing. That's why the Spygate.
Do they pay their penalty?
Like it.
Did the Patriots pay their penalty?
They did.
Okay.
I'm in agreement that Belichick should be in right here, right now. But people don't like him. They're going to make him wait.
I'm not sure if Peyton is a Hall of Fame coach or not. I think he's close. Let's say he won another Super Bowl with your Broncos. You and I would agree at that point with 2 Super Bowls, 2 different teams, he would be theoretically a Hall of Fame coach. Would
Hall of Fame coach, yes. Not first ballot, though, obviously.
Because the Bounty Gate.
Mike Shanahan can't even get in.
Because the Bounty Gate, though.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no, it wasn't. So not.
People don't like Sean either. He might have to wait a while.
He was suspended for a year, right? he was suspended for a year.
He might have to wait a while. Sean and Bill are similar. People don't like him, and you got to have people stick up for you.
No, you don't.
You got to have people stick up for you, and Bill
This is where it ruins people like you and me who are in media. It ruins us, right? I think there's a ripple effect of all this. One, you have no faith or confidence in what they do in terms of electing them. And I think anybody, and I get, there was a guy, I want to say he was from Missouri, tell me if I'm wrong, but there was a guy who came out with a story this morning who explained why he didn't vote for Belichick, right?
Yeah,
he wanted these other 3 guys in. He knew Belichick would wait till next year. Okay, he points out at the very least that the process is flawed.
Yes, that's the problem.
Even though I disagree with him, I can understand his reasoning. The problem now is, where are all these other guys who can't come forward and explain why you voted no?
There's only, there's probably only
at least 10 of them.
Yeah, there's only 10.
At least 11, actually.
There's only 10.
At least 11. Because if he had 40, he would have gone in.
Here's the thing.
At least 11 voted no to Bill Belichick.
If Bill was totally clean, you wouldn't have this be so fired up and this and that. He wasn't clean.
Nate, should he be a first ballot Hall of Famer? You're a very good sports fan and a media guy.
Yes.
That's it. You and I both know it should have been thumbs up, thumbs down. The fact that we've even gotten to this point shows you how flawed the process is. There is not a soul in America who thinks Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, does he have some warts on him? Sure. Do we really want to go down the path of all of these players and coaches and executives who have some real warts on them?
Too. There's other warts, too. People think that he did it through Tom. People think it was Tom, not Bill. 44% winning percentage without Tom. Oh, boy.
But Tom, you want to bring up Tom. What did Tom write on Twitter the other day, right?
Oh, he said, absolutely. Absolutely.
Would Tom have won 6 Super Bowls without Belichick?
Probably not.
He wouldn't have. You and I completely agree on that. He probably would have won 3 or 4, right? He's no doubt about a Hall of Famer, even without Belichick. But Belichick has a lot to do, a tremendous amount to do with the Patriots' success over 20 years.
I knew you would your Patriots fandom would come out hard on this.
My Giants beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl. I'm not a Patriot, but to have no respect for Bill, if Bill Belichick doesn't get in, and here's the. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you say. By the way, first.
Eli Manning.
He's not going to get in. He's not going to get in, but he should.
What?
Well, they've already announced that he's not going to get in because they keep leaking all of this stuff now.
Yeah.
He's not going to get in.
Well,
eventually he'll get in, but he's not going to get in yet.
Eventually Eli Manning should get in.
And I agree. He won 2 Super Bowls. The other thing, Nate, and this is what drives me crazy about these voters, and I know, and I'm blaming a lot of it on the media, but a lot of it has to do with Bill Polian, and I'm sure some other people who have kept quiet so far. You know what it does? A week from tonight, they're going to have the NFL Honors, right? The award show that they do a few nights before the Super Bowl. And they're going to announce the 5 modern era inductees. It ruins their night.
Really?
Oh, yes, it does. Absolutely. Because what is the story going to be that night and the next day? That Belichick isn't on the stage with them, particularly when that bum, that piece of you-know-what, Robert Kraft gets in, and he's going, and he deserves to get in.
Yeah.
He absolutely deserves to get in. He had a lot to do with Belichick not getting in.
A lot to do.
Oh, Polian is his boy.
Well, guess what?
Polian can't even say with 100% certainty if he voted for him or not. If you can't remember your vote from 3 or 4 weeks ago, you don't belong having a vote. You're a bum. You're an idiot.
Guess what? Bill needed people to be on his side. Burn some bridges. This should be a lesson for all the kids listening.
Matter.
All the kids listening. You're not going to have somebody like Rob fighting for you sometime in those rooms, so make sure you don't burn bridges.
Why should that matter, Nate? Why should it not be objectively?
That's what happened.
Why should I not go in? You know what? I can't stand the guy. I hate that guy. But boy, was he really good, and I respect all of his accomplishments.
They will.
And even though he'll probably never talk to me in my life, even though I've asked 1,000 times for an interview, he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
They just wanted to show him be better next time.
They are petty and bums, and they should have their vote stripped from them.
This is wild tonight.
I am fired up. This is 2 days later, and I'm just as fired up as I was when I heard about it.
I stuck up for Bill Belichick, but then I went on with my life. Anyway, coming right back with this, mobile sports wagering in South Dakota, if it is adopted by you, the voters, if we get a chance, how big do you think that would be? Mobile sports wagering in South Dakota coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's your last chance to lock in 2025 pricing on our Acclaim replacement windows and ensemble entry doors. Get 20% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Pay nothing till 2027. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. If you've been thinking about replacing those drafty, outdated doors or windows, now is the time. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
City. Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show live. Rob Kagron's in studio. We call it Thursday Happy Hour on South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Glad you're here. Thanks for making this show possible. We appreciate it. Well, a lot to discuss tonight. We were going to do the whole hour on Bill Belichick, but I told Rob we just got to cool it. We have to cool it. Okay. So mobile sports wagering has been going wild across the country. So here's how I lay this out. So I could go to Iowa. You folks from Sioux Falls, East River can just get right into Iowa. You cross the border, you got sports wagering. And you can go on the western side of the state in the Black Hills, just right into Wyoming. You can bring up your BetMGM app. You can bet right there. You just cross that piece of dirt, and you're good. It's magic. In South Dakota, they have stopped mobile sports wagering. Voters voted for sports wagering in Deadwood. That's been a success. We go there live. We do this show to kick off the NFL season up there. It's outstanding. We love the sports book at BetMGM Sportsbook. Tin Lizzie, Cadillac Jacks, our partners, and we just think it's been great, and we run into people up there. They have a great time. Games are on. Super Bowl's going to be huge next Sunday. But legislators in Pierre have said over the past few years, we need to try and do the mobile sports wagering because there's revenue to be had instead of giving it to Iowa, giving it to Wyoming, wherever they're going, and instead of having the illegal sports wagering as well. They say, why not just allow mobile sports wagering? It's going on anyway. Let's get the revenue stream. Let's go down this road and have people do it if they want to do it. So they've got this joint resolution going in Pierre. Casey Crabtree was on tonight. He's the state senator from Madison. As a matter of fact, he's running for the Republican primary for U.S. Congress, the U.S. House. And he's got this prime sponsor to send it to the voters. So my deal is this. If mobile sports wagering goes to the voters in November, let's say it gets out of Pierre, people contact your legislators. If you want this, you say, hey, guys, vote for this. Let us vote on this. Do you think it would be having people betting on sports? It would be big. It would be bigger than you think. If it went mobile sports wagering here in South Dakota, you think people would bet on sports that don't normally do it right now?
100%, Nate. 100%. And I think there's plenty of evidence around the country that once you allow it, that it becomes part, first of all, it's become part of the lexicon of how we talk about sports, right? Like, you can't watch. There was a time, you and I grew up at the same time, essentially. I'm slightly older than you, but I mean barely, right? Months. But we both grew up at a time where it was, in a sense, taboo to talk about the odds of sporting events, right?
Yeah,
like,
never heard that.
Occasionally a broadcaster would slip it in or something like that, but it was really rare. You turn on any of the networks that show sports, and on that ticker on the bottom, in parentheses, is the spread all the time. It has become part of who we are, for better or worse, and I think there are good parts about it and negative parts about it, like any of the so-called vices in this world, right? Like there's, it doesn't have to be unhealthy, it can be unhealthy. I think once you make it legal, and I think if this passes in the legislature, I think the voters will vote overwhelmingly.
I do
for
too.
It, right?
I do too.
I don't think this is going to be one of those ones where, there have been other topics, and we don't need to get into what they are, but there have been other topics that go to statewide referendum that you're not exactly sure where the public is going to go on it.
Right.
I'd be kind of surprised if this wasn't 65 to 70% in favor.
I would think, and sports wagering initially, when it was voted on, should they allow it in Deadwood, was heavy, yes.
Yeah, because, and I think part of the reason is there are plenty of people across this state that are not close enough to Deadwood that would want to put a wager, not every single game or every single week, but Super Bowl's coming here, right? We're 10 days away from the Super Bowl. You're telling me you're sitting in the, the northeast corner of South Dakota and you don't want to go across the border? You want to sit in your house and just make, nothing crazy, a $10 wager, $20 wager, and just have something, you and your buddies are hanging out and you want watching the game and you want to put something on it? I think people would do it. And I don't think it necessarily means that it's going to go to this terrible degree that, people are all addicted to sports gambling. But I do think it's become part of who we are as Americans, and you see it across the country. And the fact of the matter is, just as you said, just across the western border of this state and the eastern border of this state, you can go across those borders and gamble on your phone. Why on earth would we not do it here? And once it's legal, do I think it's going to become more and more commonplace? Yes. And I think that's a good thing. And I actually think it's really good for Deadwood, right? Because when you are in the black, you're traveling from East River, you're going to see your kids play in a sporting event, or you have a tournament, and you end up, in Deadwood for a couple hours or for an overnight. What are you going to do? You throw $20 down on your favorite team or $20 on a team that you think might win, right? I think it helps that industry as well, and I absolutely am 100% convinced that it will become much more popular once it's legal.
So I threw this out on Twitter. I'll throw it out on the Nate Brown Show text line. Question of the day, if you haven't sounded off yet, if South Dakota allowed mobile sports wagering, would you bet regularly on sports throughout the year? That's my question of the day. I know I have a sports audience. I'm trying to figure out, would you guys throw... And like you said, it's going to just be $20. I mean, some people say, you're going to have people betting $1,000 at a time. It's like, that's kind of the thing. People get scared. No, this can't happen. It's got to be within reason. It's got to be measured. It's just like anything in life. It's got to be measured. But would you bet on sports regularly if it goes to mobile sports wagering? That's what I asked the audience. And so I put up 3 options, Rob. I said, yes, I would do it regularly. That means football, March Madness, even some NBA, some Masters, golf, stuff like that. I would mostly just bet on football. That's the second option. Or I don't have an interest. So right now, 62% have said they would do it regularly or do football. 38% say they don't have an interest. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and I could absolutely agree with that. And you're right. We have a sports audience. There's no doubt about that. But a lot of it even is for the casual fan, right? Like, I think there'll be moments where the casual fan who may have even been in that, whatever you said, 38%, said that they wouldn't do it. They put that sporting event on, and they open up that app, and they're like, hey, I kind of like...
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it.
If for no other reason, I want to root for that, right? I'm going to watch this Final Four game tonight, right? I don't care about the 2 teams that are in it. It's UConn and Arizona.
Yeah,
all right?
Right.
I don't have a rooting interest for either team. I'm from, South Dakota. I don't care about either team. But you know what? Me and my buddies are going to watch tonight. We're going to sit here. We're going to have a couple of beers or whatever. We're going to have a couple soft drinks. Yeah, I want to put $5 on the game just so I have some rooting interest in it. I think people who even say they wouldn't do it, they might not do it all the time.
Right.
But they're going to get involved because there is this kind of communal aspect of let's root for something together, let's put a few bucks on it, and let's have something to root for.
I do believe the 38% now on my poll, we got over 204 votes just today. 204 votes, 38% say I don't have an interest. I do think some of them I don't have an interest now. They maybe haven't done it. By the way, it took me, I don't know how long to get my app. I used to go to Las Vegas. I'd go every year, and I'd go to the window.
Yep.
I like old school. I go to the window. Here's my money. I'm going to bet this. I did that for a long time. Everybody's telling me, get the app. Will you get the BetMGM app, please? Please get the app. I don't need to do it. I got the app, and I was like, well, this is why was I trying to run back to the casino and go up to the window? It's right here. It's easy. That's the type of thing. It's like, okay, I got $20. I'll put it on the Broncos right here, right now. So even the 38%, I don't have an interest. If it was mobile, you were measured, I think there would be some interest. 62% here say they would do it regularly or mostly football.
Yeah.
Pretty high number.
And I think the football one for sure is where you'll absolutely notice it. You'll notice it, and I think you'll really notice it. Probably even you'll certainly notice with the NFL because it's so popular. But I think particularly in South Dakota, you will notice it with college football, right?
I would think so.
Particularly, like Nebraska, Wyoming, people that have real connections to those teams, you're going to see some real action. I'm rooting. I'm going to watch Big Red today. Let me throw $10 on them to beat whomever, Penn State, or to cover the spread. I think there'll be a lot of that just to get. I think you feel a little bit more involved when you do that, for better or worse, and I think people will really cling on to that.
If you wanted to go to the voters, this is a real thing. We have the state senator on from Madison, Casey Crabtree. He's the sponsor of it, Senate Joint Resolution 504, but just contact your legislator. This is how stuff like this gets out up here and to the voters, saying you want mobile sports wagering regulated through Deadwood. It would still be regulated through the casinos that have the licenses. Say you want it, and we'll see where this thing goes. Would you vote for that? Do you want it to go to the voters? Listener text coming in. I will vote for it, but there needs to be some guardrails on it. So, well, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. If you want mobile sports wagering, South Dakota, you got to contact your legislators. We'll see if they let it out up here. It would be on the ballot if they let it out of there for us to vote on in November. Coming right back on the Nate Brown Show. How about this? I got an email, or I got a text that said, the Broncos lost because of this. And he might be partially right. We'll debate next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
All kinds of vehicles, all kinds of loans, all as low as 4.99% APR. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we're here to help all kinds of people, just like you. Get moving. From truck drivers to van warriors, we got the right loan to fit your style with rates as low as 4.99% APR. Wherever the road takes you, start with BHFCU. Apply today at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818.
Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member owned and insured by NCUA.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Whether you're a bird enthusiast or you simply enjoy the sights and sounds of nature, Enchanted Gardens Cardinal Mix Premium Bird Food Blend is a must-have year-round. Pick up a 20-pound bag. On sale now through February 8th. View our entire selection of wildlife products on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer and find all of the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Attention football fans, the BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort has it all. Watch your team on massive high-definition screens while enjoying live betting. Keep some skin in the game even when the odds don't go your way. Enter Jack's Second Chance Mulligan Drawing by dropping your losing ticket for a shot at up to $200 in Cadillac cash every week. Satisfy your craving with mouth-watering Mexican cuisine from Guadalajara's or choose from 4 other food vendors, all while sipping on your favorite drinks. The BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort. How will your game play out?
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely endlessly. And you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger?
Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com. We're talking with Rihanna Wickett at Elevate Performance Physical Therapy with an Elevate Performance Health Minute. So if somebody has an athlete, Rihanna, who they suffer a concussion, they come and see you, what can you do for them?
We want to see them as soon as possible to make sure that we can make their return to sport as safe as possible. So we can look at proprioception, balance, vestibular work, and cervical strength.
When they try to get back up to speed, you said a treatment plan, very important as they return to sport.
Making sure that the athlete has a skilled plan moving forward so that they don't return to sport way too early, making sure that the return to contact is an appropriate timing.
And the goal of that is you do not want to have another concussion getting back to it too early.
Correct. If we have another concussion too early, the athlete is at a huge risk of further problems down the road, including anything with their school or memory or continuous headaches.
For concussion treatment, get started at ElevatePerformanceSD.com.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show built by Blackburn Foundation Repair. It's wintertime, it's cold. Make sure your home is in good shape, your foundation secure, things crack, crawl spaces get ruined. Make sure your family's safe, your air is clean. They do radon testing. Radon's invisible gas, number 2 cause of lung cancer. It is common in South Dakota homes, so make sure Blackburn's got you off the injured list. Protect your home, protect your family. Blackburn Foundation Repair. Start at blackburnrepair.com. Home's an important investment. Make sure it's in good shape. blackburnrepair.com. Start there. South Dakota expert since 1992. Rob Tegron's in studio. It's Thursday Happy Hour on the Nate Brown Show. So I had a listener text. This was interesting. I don't know if he's trying to be nice or just trying to get me fired up, trying to trigger me. I couldn't quite tell, but he said, your Broncos lost partially because of that snowy mess. He said nobody wants to watch a blizzard and wind and snow and a game be decided like that. And I really appreciate that guy. I appreciate that guy because we got this new thing called technology, retractable roofs. We have this new thing. It's, we don't have to sit out there in Lambeau Field and act like we got cheese on our heads and freeze and have our shirts off and act like goons. We don't have to do this anymore. We can have retractable roofs, controlled environments, good football, instead of Drake May crying on the sideline. You see the video. He almost was crying. He said, this is hard. He told Josh McDaniels that in the microphone. He said, this is hard. We couldn't have had it. We could have had a better game. We could have had a real game. Maybe the Broncos would have won. We might have made the field goal. You never know. We could have actually had some offense. Controlled environments. More stadiums are going up, so the retractable roofs and the controlled environments are going to outnumber the outdoor stadiums when these new stadiums get built, and I'm okay with it. You're not.
100% not. Football's an outdoor sport. No, I'm completely
it's an outdoor
against
sport.
it.
You can close it. The Broncos owner said yesterday, Penner said, when we get this new stadium, we would have closed the roof.
Yeah, well,
that would have been closed, and I'm with him.
Just because he says it doesn't mean he's right, Nate. Like, football is an outdoor sport. You're telling me they're ever going to put a retractable roof in Green Bay over Lambeau Field? No, they're not. They're not. Because some of the greatest moments in the history of football have to do with weather. And it doesn't have to be a terrible game or a sloppy, messy game just because it's had bad weather.
Yeah, it was a great moment there on Sunday.
No, it was
a great
terrible.
moment.
But my point is, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Do you remember the end of the fourth quarter of the Philly Ram game last year? The NFC divisional game that was in Philadelphia? There was plenty of snow in that fourth quarter, and it was a great game, and they moved the ball well. That had to do with two offenses that couldn't move the ball very well at that point. Yes, did the snow factor in? No doubt about it. The snow, the wind,
a blizzard.
The weather, no doubt about it. But there is a charm, a nostalgia to watching a game like that. The one I go back to, this is way back, but you will remember it. I want to say it's 95. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it's mid-90s, Thanksgiving Day, Dolphins and Cowboys.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was crazy snow, and there was all kinds of ball going all over the place. Why? Because it reminds us of when we're children. Most of if you didn't grow up in Southern California, and I grew up in New York where we did have plenty of snow. You grew up in Montana, plenty of snow. Anybody who's listening probably from South Dakota or from somewhere nearby, plenty of snow. There's a charm to going out in that snow and playing football and kind of sliding all over the place and tackling each other in the snow and having fun with that. And I'm not saying that every stadium should be like that. But when you live in Denver, Colorado, there are some elements involved, right? And it's not always bad weather.
We can't have the biggest games be impacted by this.
Yeah, I think we can.
We put that stupid Super Bowl in New York that one year when my Broncos played the Seahawks. That was stupid.
It was just cold. There was no snow.
That was dumb. Peyton Manning, there was wind. I remember there was wind.
That's not why you lost. You got your butts kicked from the first play of the game. Do we remember?
Yeah,
Do we remember the snap? Remember that snap?
Of those. By the way, that's the last one we tried. It's like, let's try it in a place where it could be cold. Nice idea.
We tried that because they built a new stadium, and it was a give back to John Mara for building this new stadium and giving him a Super Bowl. That's the only reason we tried it, and it's never going to happen again.
Because you don't want the biggest games to be impacted by weather. So we're going to have these new stadiums. The Broncos are going to have it. Let's just. I like that.
That's not
the reason we play the state championships in the Dome in Vermillion, because nobody wants the charm of sitting outside in mid-November here in South Dakota.
Part of it is that. Part of it is also the atmosphere of an indoor stadium. Let's be fair, but you don't think that it can be or should be to your advantage for you. Now, again, they played New England, who also plays in cold weather. But let's just say next year the Miami Dolphins were really good, right? And now the Dolphins have to come into Denver at the AFC Championship game and go and play in cold weather in a snow and a blizzard. You tell me that doesn't give the home team an advantage?
It does.
And a home team should have advantages.
I want the best team. So I'm with this. I'm going to die on this hill. I'm going to die on this hill.
You're going to die alone.
No, I think there's more people than you think.
That's nothing against your family. I should have thought about that when I said that.
By the way, you're the guy. This is the guy who watches all the games at home. He's got all of his screens up, and he watches them. This is so comfortable. Why aren't you out there? I want to see you out there.
I don't like watching games in person. You know that. And I've gone to plenty of games. In fact, I've gone to a couple of games where you were in the stadium at the same time as I was.
Yeah.
I just don't.
You don't like the cold either.
No, it has nothing to do with the cold. I kind of like the cold. I can't see the game when I'm in person. I want to watch it on my TV. But when you're coaching a team and can get an advantage out of that, I'd want, if it were me, I want to have any advantage I can. And again, you didn't lose because of the snow. You lost because Stidham stunk and because Peyton made a bad decision.
Yeah, it was a beauty. Drake May was on the sideline. This is hard. He didn't like the weather.
But he won.
We need better weather. Super Bowl next Sunday, so we'll talk about it Monday, but how do you like betting this thing? Speaking of betting, we'll wrap up with that.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's your last chance to lock in 2025 pricing on our Acclaim replacement windows and ensemble entry doors. Get 20% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Pay nothing till 2027. Plus, get an extra $5 if purchased on initial consultation. If you've been thinking about replacing those drafty, outdated doors or windows, now is the time. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection. Federal credit for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
All right, fun night tonight. Thanks for being a part of it. The Nate Brown Show. Hope you've had a good day. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio across South Dakota. Rob Kegron's in here Thursday. Happy hour in the books with... So how do you bet the Super Bowl, okay? We got a big party going on at BetMGM Sportsbook, Tin Lizzie, Cadillac Jacks, the two headquarters where we watch the Super Bowl, and they've got reserve spots. You want to get those, all right? So how do you bet the Super Bowl is my question today, because I'm very specific here, Rob. I know you like betting sports. I like betting sports. You get into the player props. Super Bowl, they line up everything. Yep. Which way do you go?
So I usually bet a few player props, maybe some receptions, receiving yards. No, I don't do stuff like that. I try to do stuff that is more the whole game based, right?
Okay.
Because first touchdown is crazy, right? Like, the guy catches the ball, but he comes up a half yard short. Now it goes to some, fullback or something. And I couldn't bet on that. They're great odds, don't get me wrong, but I like things that are for the whole game. Receptions, receiving yards, rushing attempts, passing completions, things like that, plus the game itself.
Okay, no Star-Spangled Banner length, no red Gatorade, blue Gatorade.
Not the Gatorade, but I usually will do the length of the Super Bowl just a little bit, maybe the heads or tails. Again, I'm not betting a lot on that stuff. It's more for the novelty of it, but certainly the length of the national anthem, absolutely, I will do it.
Okay, so you do that. Usually I'm careful with this, because sometimes I start going and I look at the line. They give me the sheet. I'm starting to go. I'm like, I'll do $5 there. I'll do 10, and then all of a sudden it's like, what did I just do? I'm going to win all these bets, and then you list like 8 in the first quarter. I usually go game for sure. Weird props, Not so much. Best prop you like.
I haven't figured out this game particularly yet, but I almost always bet the over of the national anthem.
The length of the national anthem.
Because even if they practice it and they get that performance at that moment, and they want to carry that last couple of notes, and it goes the last couple of notes goes 30 seconds.
All right. We'll be back next Monday. Super Bowl week. Big game is on. And then we're really going to dig into this. And we'll see if Rob Cagron changes his mind. He's starting to be a little leery of Sam Darnold. I can just feel it.
You bet.
Sam Darnold and the Seahawks and the Patriots. We're back on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. The Nate Brown Show podcast going up right now. See ya.
My reason why is community.